Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having a great start to the week. Guys, in this video, we are going to talk about the Chimera teams for this week to get mythical mats. I'm going to show you my team, but also a few other options which you can do. And before we going to talk about all the teams and so on, I want to talk about the trials. So where are the mythical mats for this week? We got 7 mythical mats on the ramp form on trials number 2. Here we need to place 7 unique debuffs within 5 of its turns while your champions are under increased accuracy. So we need increased accuracy. Then we need to damage the Chimera while it is under a weaken debuff and your champions are under increased crit rate or increased crit damage. So we need one or the other, and we need a weaken debuff. So we need increased accuracy, increased crit rate, or increased crit damage, or both, and weaken. And then for the hard trial, we need to damage the Chimera with a single skill while it is under weaken and decreased defense. So we need both debuffs, and then it will not count damage from counterattacks or skills that are scaled based on enemy max HP. So you need a hard-hitting champion here that doesn't use enemy max HP skills. And with decent gear, relatively high blessing, damage multiplying sets, this is achievable with a lot of champions. Obviously, your stats need to be on point. Now, on the line form, we have 9 mythical mats, and then also the 4-star Basalt. Now, to get the 9 mythical mats, you have to damage the Chimera within 3 of its turns while your champions are under 5 unique buffs. This one should be fairly easy. You want to bring buffs anyway to the Chimera fight. And then after that, we need to damage the Chimera while it is under decreased speed and decreased defense, 2 of the most important debuffs for Chimera anyway. So you want to bring that into your team regardless of this trial. And it only counts damage from skills. And then the last one, damage the Chimera with counterattacks and ally attack skills. And if you bring someone like a Mikage and the Shadowkin Nuker, this one is probably one of the easiest hard trials that we have on Chimera Clan Boss. Now, trials number 3 is a little bit more difficult. The easy one is not, so damage the Chimera while it is under leech debuff. So we need to bring a leech debuff. And then we need to damage the Chimera. So again, place a debuff, damage it. After that, the normal one, place 10 debuffs on the Chimera within 2 of its turns. So we need to bring 10 debuffs. If you don't have it in your team, you can build someone in a toxic set and fill up the debuff bar that way. Just make sure you still have a spot for decreased resistance, because decreased resistance is one of the debuffs that must be placed as well to complete this trial. So we gotta bring decreased resistance and we gotta be able to fill up the debuff bar. And then the hard one, we have to damage the Chimera using reflect damage buffs, pain link, or passive reflect damage effects. And there are a few champions that can do it. And if you don't have those, this is pretty much impossible to do. So there's like a handful of champions that can reflect enough damage to complete this trial, so you can collect the 4-star Basalt. Now, on the Viper form, we have another 9 mythical mats, and this week they are on the poison trials. Right here, you have to damage the Chimera with poison debuffs while it is also under a poison sensitivity debuff. There are only 2 champions that can do this fast enough, so you are able to complete the hard one as well. And those 2 are Theodore and Balar. Luckily, we had a hero's path for Balar. I still didn't manage to pull Theodore, but Balar is good enough, I guess, to do this. But you also need to have the right comp to make him work. And also, there are 2 ways to use him. Either you use him as a damage dealer as well, but then, it's really hard to push his damage to the point where he can complete the trials on the ramp form and this one as well, or you just use him as a debuffer to make sure to complete this trial chain right here. Another cool thing is that he also brings decreased resistance, which we need for trials number 3 on the line form, right? And he also places a lot of poisons, so you don't need a toxic set. He should bring enough debuffs for your team so you can fill up the debuff bar. So yeah, basically you need a poison activation champion in here. Those are the two options that are viable for Chimera and for these trials. And you want to make sure you complete the easy and the normal one in the first cycle of the Chimera, so you have the whole second cycle to complete the hard one and successfully revive one ally, because the Viper form is going to deny the first revive, and the second revive is when you are actually able to complete this one. Now, I completely ignored the poison trials this week again because my Balar is just not strong enough to be the damage dealer and complete the trials here on the ramp form as well, where we need to hit the Chimera for 750k with a single skill. The awakening level is not high enough on my Balar, but I'm very, very close. So if I get a few upgrades on a soul, I might be able to do it. And because of that, I completely skipped this part of the trials and focused more on the next best thing, which was, all the other mythical mats and the 4-star Basalt, as well as the 3-star Basalt right here. And this is the team that I used. So I used the Toshiro with the Mikage. We have the ally attacks, we have a hard-hitting champion. We have Lydia for decreased defense and weaken, but also the increased speed. Then we have a Galateer with a cleanse, very important actually, and helps a lot with the reflect trial. And also he's, one of the best revivers in the game, and he's also boosting a lot of turn meter. And then we have Sneak Track, which is there for decreased speed, decreased attack, and the reflect damage. Now you can definitely replace some of these champions, right? Like Toshiro can be replaced with a ninja, for example. I think an Elva or a Python should work for Galateer as well. Both of them have block debuffs, and both of them can cleanse and revive. So I guess that would be, a good replacement, but it will probably be a little bit more difficult with them to complete some of these trials. Now, the way that I did it, the way that I built my team, my Sneak Track is my lowest crit damage, so he will be the dual target. That way, I'm able to place the leech, right, which is getting reflected, and now I can pretty much start placing debuffs, and they won't get reflected, right? I can place them, which just helps to get going with the trials. So we need the increased accuracy first, right, before we start doing anything else. We need to increase accuracy, and then we need to start placing debuffs. We need 7 in total to be able to complete the other ones. So I have Lady Mikage in the second form. She's going with the A3, placing the increased accuracy. Unfortunately, the weaken got resisted here. With Toshiro, I just went with the A1, and now I'm gonna start debuffing, with everybody else. I have the increased accuracy up. I have 4 debuffs. I need 2 more. Gonna use the ally attack. And here's actually a thing that I did wrong. I put Toshiro in the lead spot, which would give him, additional HP. But it's actually not that good. I should put Sneak Track in the lead spot. He has an HP aura as well. And then I could place Lydia in front of Toshiro. So when I do ally attacks, Lydia would attack before Toshiro. And there's a potential chance that the Toshiro survives on the ramp form, because Lydia is going to use her A1 first before Toshiro goes, and therefore the True Fear can proc and, negate the whole reflect damage. But here Toshiro killed himself, but that was fine. I needed to place 2 more debuffs, which I can definitely do with Lydia right here. Poison sensitivity, block buffs, and there we go, we got it done. Now I just basically need to revive Toshiro and then deal damage. Here I didn't revive because I didn't want the ramp form to take an extra turn, because if he's able to place the stun with the A1, he will get an extra turn, and then, I will run out of time. So I decided to place the block debuffs first and then revive, and then that worked perfectly fine. Here the True Fear procced, right? And I can go all in with Toshiro and deal as much damage, as I can. So 182, and we were almost done with the second trial, and that was pretty much it for the normal one. And after that, it just took me one more True Fear proc, so I can, use his A3, and that was pretty much it for the ramp form. So actually pretty easy to do this one, right? With this team setup, you just need to be a little bit, lucky with the True Fear procs, but it's, definitely easier with him than with Balar. And you can use Ninja basically the same way as I used Toshiro here. Now, on the line form, it was very important to place the reflect damage with Snick Track before we go into the line form on the first cycle and the second cycle, because we need to damage the line form while it is under a leech debuff, right? And if we can put the leech debuff on the line form with the first turn that it takes, why not, right? So I went in there with the reflect damage up so I can place the leech instantly and start, working on that trial. And that's exactly what we did. Snick Track got killed here, but that's, not a big deal. We can revive him instantly with Galateer. And from there, it was just dealing as much damage as I can do and get this trial out of the way, because we need to place 10 debuffs after that with the decreased resistance as well. And to place the decreased resistance, I have to swap forms with Galateer, which is a little bit risky because, as you can see, sometimes the line form is hitting very hard, especially when it places all these debuffs like decreased defense and weaken on your champions. It can really, be a problem. So then I had, 9 debuffs on the line form. As you can see, a lot of poisons, right? I placed a decreased resistance, and there we go. We completed that trial. Galateer got an extra turn too from a Relentless set, which helps so much to get him back into his normal form. Because I don't want to stay too long in this second form of Galateer, right? Because, there's no support for for my team, no revive, no heal, and I really need that support so I can stay alive. And yeah, from here, it is all about reflecting now, reflecting as much damage as I can before, the Chimera swaps back to the ultimate form. And we definitely got some damage reflected here, but because we have Strengthen on, it was a little bit less than what it usually would be. And it's also another thing that really helps if you don't place the Strengthen from Lydia on your champions when you're trying to reflect, because then, you're getting more damage and therefore you're also reflecting more damage. And you also want to save your, your cleanse to cleanse off the Hunter's Gaze. Then you're forcing the line form to attack you, and if you have reflect damage up at that moment, you're reflecting more than you normally would, right? And that really helps to complete this trial as well, and just get it out of the way quicker than normally. As you can see here, Snick Track got killed, and then the line form just keeps attacking. And by the end of the first cycle, we already had 820k reflected, so absolutely no problem. And yeah, the main reason for that basically is that Snick Track has also my highest defense on this team, and that's why he's getting targeted, by the line form. And yeah, here I almost wipe, but Galathier is hard to kill, right? He's really tanky. I have like 100k HP on him, and I would definitely suggest you to focus more on HP than defense on Chimera, because at some point the Chimera is starting to ignore your defense, and then it's absolutely useless. And before going into the second cycle of the line form, I did basically the same thing. I had the reflect up before I went into it, and that way we can start reflecting damage straight away. So we got another 300,000 reflected here. So we were almost done with reflecting here, by the time we go into the second cycle. And yeah, this is actually a pretty easy trial with Sneak Track, I have to say. It's incredible how easy it is with him. I did not expect that. This is the second time I'm using him. Super surprised how good he can actually do this. And I don't know if there's a better legendary option but him. Gizmek is, the one that does it better, I would say, with the Pain Link debuff, and he also has ally protection and so on. So he's probably the one that does it better, and also opens up different comps. For a legendary champion, Sneak Track is probably the best in slot here. So yeah, after 3 turns in the second cycle, we got that one out of the way as well. Now here are my champion builds. This is Toshiro in a 6-piece Merciless set, 2-piece Zeal, and 1 piece of Pinpoint for additional accuracy. This is basically how you would build any damage dealer almost that is a non-max HP hitter. With a 6-piece Merciless set and a 2-piece Zeal set to get the most out of your champion, the most damage. You have the biggest Death Ignore set bonus, right? 35% is a lot, and then you have additional bonus damage for every 25% HP. That's another 12% more damage and 20% crit damage on top. So this set, like this combination of sets, is definitely best in slot. And these are the stats on my Toshiro: 52k HP, 8.6k attack, 201 speed. Ninja Toshiro don't need to be super fast because you're always ally attacking with Mikage, and therefore they're getting more turn meter and so on. So they just need to hit hard enough to complete these trials. They don't need, that much speed. But if you can up the speed and still maintain the damage stats, then why not? He's crit capped a little bit over that. I can probably optimize the 7% crit rate. 337 crit damage, and then 396 accuracy with Toshiro. 350 is probably good enough. With a ninja, you want to hit like at least 450 accuracy, something like that, 400 to 450. Because Toshiro is ignoring resistance as he's a mythical, right? And yeah, this relic is also best in slot, Ireti Coronet, with a Boss Slayer and a Pierce defenses, gives you additional 3% Death Ignore and 10% more damage on bosses. Completely booked, and Nature's Wrath is probably the best blessing. If you have a 6-star blessing, you could go for Crushing Rend for additional Death Ignore. But, for 5-star and lower, I would go with Nature's Wrath. And the same thing for Ninja. And then these are the masteries, Helm Smasher. And I would go with the exact same thing for Ninja as well. Then we have Mikage in a Relentless set. 4-piece Merciless, 4-piece Relentless. And these are the stats: 84k HP, 3.3k defense, 330 speed. You want to make her fast and have enough accuracy. Those are the main stats you want to focus on. 350 accuracy is fine, but a little bit more would not hurt. Purge Shadow Relic, this is absolutely insane on her. Just give her more extra turns. Every time she takes a turn, Toshiro or Ninja or whatever your Shadowkin Nuker is will deal damage. So more turns means more damage. Then she's almost completely booked. I did not book the A1 because I was lucky enough to hit the A2 and the A3. The A1 is not that important. I have Cruelty on her. which helps to, reduce the defense of the Chimera a little bit, and these are the masteries. Here's the Galaxier in a 3-piece protection set and a 4-piece relentless set. I also have a Slayer piece on him, but that's just a crit damage amulet to tune my dual target. And he's at 109k HP, 4.1k defense, 358 speed, and 342 resistance. It doesn't matter too much, but it's always good to have some extra res on him. Purge Shadow Relic, also very amazing. Actually, he took a lot of extra turns with the Relentless set and the Purge Shadow Relic. I think those two in combination are amazing. Completely booked. I think I'm missing one book on his A3 on the second form, but it doesn't matter too much. If you don't have this booked, you want to make sure you have enough resistance on him or accuracy so he can place that debuff, because it's really important. He's converting resistance into accuracy, so I definitely have enough. But if you want to book that, right, you're ignoring 20% resistance, and then you don't need that much accuracy or resistance. His blessing, that doesn't do anything for Chimera. This is just for PvP. And then here are the masteries. And then last but not least, we have Snick Track in a 9-piece Pharaoh set. And these are his stats. 85, almost 86k HP. He has the highest defense, 4.5k defense, so he gets targeted by the lion form. 314 speed, made him as fast as I could, and he has the lowest crit damage as well, 114, and 528 accuracy, which is exactly where you want to be on Ultra Nightmare with legendary champions that are not ignoring resistance. I have the Purge Shadow Relic on him as well, so I can cycle his skills back, more often. It definitely helped. He's completely booked. And yeah, he's placing Leech, decrease attack, and decrease speed, so he has 3 debuffs, which give me additional 15% more damage with a 9-piece Feral bonus. And this is definitely really helpful. And here are the masteries. I went for Eagle Eye for additional accuracy. If you can hit the accuracy, you can probably go for something else, but that's just what I needed for my build. Now I want to show you a few different teams that can also get the same amount of mythical mats and more. So this is one variation of the team that I used, just with Ninja instead of Toshiro. And as I said, you can probably also use a Pytheon or a Elva for Galaxier, but it will be a little bit more difficult and probably a little bit more stat hungry, but I think you can still get it done with the right gear. So yeah, this is one way to do this. Then we have this team right here. Balar is the damage dealer, right? With Fina, this team can actually get all 25 mats and also all the basalts. So also very interesting. I think he missed out on the 6 mythical mats from the Viper form. Then there's this one right here, also very interesting, with Keyhawk, 25 mats and the 4-star Basalt. And Raka, I very rarely see her in here, but yeah, pretty interesting comp. Another one right here, 25 mats, no 4-star Basalt. There's no Reflect in this team, but again, Fina working with the Reflect of Riho on the Viper form to get the poisons faster. And yeah, also very interesting. And then this one right here, also with all the basalts, 25 mats, Balar and Zinogray. Zinogray as a damage dealer and Balar as a debuffer, not built for damage. I haven't used Zinogray myself, but I do have her, so I will probably build her at some point, but I also don't have a soul, and I don't think she can hit hard enough without the soul. But yeah, pretty interesting champion. Unfortunately, not achievable anymore if you weren't around when the Monster Hunter collab was live. You're not able to pull this champion anymore, but pretty interesting champion. I think Mikey actually is doing kind of like the same thing that Zinogray does with self-buffing and, leech and decrease attack and so on. So yeah, I guess Mikey could be a replacement for Zinogray, but not in this comp because you need the weekend. But in general, or in different comps, you know, he's kind of doing similar things. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and also feel free to add me on Discord, and I'll try to help as much as I can if you are struggling with this. This was definitely pretty chill to run. Like, I did it pretty much first try. Didn't take me a lot of time, and yeah, I was really enjoying it this week. Once again, I'm super surprised how good Sneak Track is for that Reflect trial. Definitely so happy that I pulled him recently. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. The YouTube algorithm is going to suggest you a video that you might like right here. And see you in the next one.